All right, welcome back to episode 7 of I Hope You're Well. I am here with Yuri. How's it going, Yuri?
Hello, Taylor. It's doing pretty good. What about you?
Chilling, having a good time, Literally, I didn't, we just spoke right before this.
Yeah, we just had our like mid afternoon lunch.
Yeah, our 4 p.m. lunch for
Yeah.
people have, which I don't know why we do this, but I guess for kids. I'm still a kid though, so I'm only 24, so I still do it. But yeah, I didn't tell you that I actually just woke up, like half an hour ago. So hell yeah, we
Oh,
love
you did.
having a fucked up sleep schedule. We love that.
Yeah, but at least you don't have to work tomorrow, though. That's fine.
True. I mean, no, I have an exam tomorrow.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, I have an exam tomorrow. I have the TOEIC tomorrow. So
Well,
yeah,
you're just gonna do it with 4 hours of sleep, and that's just fine.
I'll do it with like in 0. I don't really care. Be fine. Now I'll sleep. But yeah, welcome back to a new episode, everyone. This is about today's topic. Our main two topics are regrets and introspection. So we'll start with, I think, introspection, because we can go from I think we can have a smoother transition from introspection to
Yeah.
regrets, as you could do some introspective into regrets, and so I'll do that first as a topic.
Yeah, I think self-examination comes before like thinking about regrets. It's the first step. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a smoother way to put it.
Definitely. I'm trying to get rid of the weird light I have on my face here. Oh, sorry. I'll figure it out. Actually, I can. There you
So in
go.
the second, since seventh episode, so why did you decide to choose these two topics specifically?
I mean, mostly because I was doing a lot of introspection in the past week. I've been not struggling, kind of struggling, but mostly just looking back at myself for the past week. And so I was like, I should make another I Hope You're Well. I've been meaning to for a while now, but I've never had the actual mood to do it, right? And so
You will look back at yourself and your life.
yeah, I'll speak about it. It's I'm not going too much into details because not all of it is related to introspection, but let's get into this.
But yeah, I still think it's a good thing to like just take a moment to think about your life, because what's good about it is that your thoughts are just your own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's here
Yeah,
to judge or.
definitely. Obviously, this is a judgment-free zone. We can talk about anything here.
Yeah.
Obviously, some limits when it comes to judgment-free. Like we are not gonna allow someone to come here and say some dumb
I mean,
shit.
no swears, no
Yeah,
bullshit,
no
no shit
swear.
talks.
Okay, we have
Yes.
to say prayer before we say. Do not talk about God's name in vain. Obviously, no. I mean,
No.
we don't let people do some say some fucked up shit, or like some transphobic, homophobic shit or whatever.
No, I didn't come
To
in that spirit
troll.
though.
But yeah, no, Yuri, because I know you're like the most, absolutely the most respectful person, but
I'm
I
not.
do know some people are not very respectful. So
I'm not. It can be very pretty chaotic. But
I
like, I
mean,
know you.
yeah, but
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do
it's all
things like
about
that.
like you're not like that. It's all, you can be chaotic, but like not in not in a mean way. It's mostly like in a messing about way, So it's
Yeah,
fine.
at worst, I can be silly, and trust me,
Yeah.
believe me, I'm going to be silly.
I can be goofy. I can be silly.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. I've done the transition already, and I didn't introduce the subject. So first subject of the video, let's talk about retrospection, introspection, whatever you want to call it. I think they are very similar. I could be wrong.
I don't think though, because I think introspection would be like taking a moment to just look inside of you and like making an inventory of where you're in life now, and
Mhm.
retrospection would be just looking back at the past and the things that you've done. At least that's what I mean. I call
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. For me, I feel like they're a bit similar, but I know the difference that she's trying to point out here. But to start off the subject here, I will let you start here, as you're the guest. I always let the guest start first. What do you think? What do you think about, or judge, or even just think of when you look into your past and you do a bit of a retrospective on yourself or your life?
Finally, when you invited me for this interview, the first thing that comes to mind, because you said the word retrospective, was a movie that I've watched called Mr. Nemo Nobody. Have you seen that
Hmm.
movie?
I haven't.
Okay, so it's the movie about a man, the oldest man on Earth, who's being interviewed because someone's writing a paper about him and about a retrospective of his life, what his life was like, and he's just looking back at his life and he wonders if he has made like the correct choices, and
Hmm.
as he's being interviewed, he's imagining the different ways his life could have been had he made different choices.
Mm.
So this is a bit different because this is a bit different than introspection, because that means that you're just basically living in the past. But somewhat can be good to just assess your choices and your situation, because that means that you like wish things to go differently as you're evolving.
I know what you mean. This sounds nice. Sounds like a nice movie.
If you ever consider watching a movie, like a life-changing movie, maybe you just need to watch that movie, because I think it's one of the best movies I've ever watched, or at least one of the most touching.
I'll have a look. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a movie person at all. I'm more into interactivity, so video games and stuff. But I will definitely, if I watch a movie and I'm bored, I'll have a look at it.
Yeah. From my personal perspective, I think it's always a good thing to look at yourself and to, assess or reassess a situation, your behavior, how you behave to others, etc., etc. It can be good, and looking for mental health professionals might help. If you're stuck or if you're in denial because you don't want to look at yourself because you consider yourself a horrible person. I think that's still a good thing to just unlock that situation and look at yourself. But it can be a bit frightening though.
Oh, it definitely can. For some
Yeah.
people, I know that I used to know some friends that I don't speak with anymore, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
it was years ago now, but we would talk, and it was online, obviously. And they would tell me stuff that they had regret or that stuff they would look back at in their life, and anytime they would have a question about this, and I told them, oh, do some retrospection, because it seems like you have a lot of regrets, but maybe you need to look into why maybe you feel the way you're feeling or why you have these regrets. So do some retrospection and look at what happened in your life that you maybe like avoiding, forgetting. You know, trauma
Yeah.
does that. Trauma makes you forget and avoid and just hide a lot of bad things happening in your past, and it will be so hard for them. For some of them, they will not do it. They will tell me like, yeah, but it's too painful to look back. And that's the point that's very terrifying for people. And thankfully, there's ways to get past it, but it is definitely something that you need to learn to do.
Yeah.
It's not
Self
something that
forgiveness.
yeah, exactly. Self forgiveness. It's something that you need to give to yourself. You know,
Yeah, it's not always easy to do that. So
definitely,
yeah, people need to be less judgmental about, people hating themselves. So in the end, yeah, you just need to be patient with yourself. But that's not easy to do.
definitely. The thing is, with retrospection, people like to say, "Oh yeah, that person just hates themselves and they don't want to look back at themselves," in the present. But retrospection is much more useful than just looking back at what you are now. You know,
Yeah.
because I've seen so many people be like, "Oh, look in the mirror, dude. Look in the mirror," and like, yeah, definitely. But also look in your brain. You know, pick apart your brain.
Yeah, looking at
That's
the
much
mirror only
more.
helps you like get suited up for the day, and that's it. But that doesn't help you
No, it
feel better
can
about yourself.
it can help you. Obviously, you know, they're literally they're obviously saying that in a way that's, you know, metaphorical, as like
Yeah, yeah,
look at yourself. You. The thing is that only helps for like now. You know, that only helps now. But if people are bad people, if they're bad people today, it's mostly because in the past stuff happened that made them this way. You know, nobody's
yeah,
born evil. Nobody's born evil. People are raised evil. They're bred evil. Uh, it's just like another point about retrospection I would like to bring up, which is that it fucking sucks sometimes, but it's also, I think, one of the best ways to solve most mental health issues you have, or at least like doubt related mental health issues.
yeah,
That, you know, are not pathological, that are mostly based on self worth and self doubt and reflection. If you can have a good session of retrospection every couple of weeks, you know, every month, whatever, every day for some people, I feel like you could make some better choices in life, and
yeah.
you could
I
find
think
ways
it
to
is.
forgive yourself. You know, you could actually understand what happened, why you're like this, why, and try to take steps without being oblivious to the problem. You know, and I think that's very powerful because that's that's how you move on in life.
Yeah, I think what you're. I get what you're saying. Like, I think, when you're making a mistake, but you didn't know. So this is why. So before recording, we disagreed upon the definition of like regrets and remorse. And I think like it lies in the fact that if you're making a regret, you're making a regret. No, I mean, can I phrase it back? Okay.
Take time.
So if you're making a mistake and you were unknowingly making that mistake, so you were unconscious or ignorant, so I think could be a regret because ah, I wish I knew how not to make that. And then you're moving on, as you said. You're just
Mm.
learning and becoming a better person. But if you're doing something and then you were willingly doing that, knowing about the consequences and the outcomes, then it can become remorse. And then it's about how do you want to live your life with that, knowing that you did something that wasn't good, but you did it on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So it can be you can be pretty hard on yourself because sometimes you cannot like be wise enough to know that there was no way that you could have acted differently. Like, yeah, maybe when imagine like you're having an argument with your partner or friend, and looking back, you're like, I wish I could have like phrased that otherwise.
Mm.
And so you're feeling guilty because you lacked communication skills, but maybe ultimately, maybe you weren't conscious about the image that you're sending, or maybe you're lacking communication skills or stuff like that,
Mm.
or maybe you were legitimately angry and emotions took over. Either way, you can like forgive yourself.
Definitely, but I feel like one of the weaknesses of most people is that, and it also applies to me. I'm very guilty of this. Is when you do a lot of retrospection, like you're saying, regrets really come like full circle. They really come full circle. You really get a lot of regrets because you're looking back at your past, right? Um, and I think there's not a lot of remorse, at least like unless you've actually done a lot of bad shit in your life. I feel like it's mostly gonna be regrets more than remorse, you know?
Yeah,
Definitely. And because remorse, I feel like when you do a retrospection session and you have a lot of remorse, you can't really, like, you cannot really do that alone. You can't really forgive yourself As
Yeah.
long like for when you do bad shit, you need most of the time someone else, maybe the affected person, to actually tell you it's fine, tell you that you should forgive yourself, what should that forgive you. While remorse, regret, sorry, you can forgive yourself because it's all regrets. It's not something you've done that's like bad, for example, would that would actually generate remorse. And so when you're retrospective, or doing a retrospective session, regrets are the thing that is the most present here. And I do think personally that regrets are, people don't like them, but I feel like they're also very, just like retrospection, they are very telling of what you need to do in your life if you have them, because they tell you that, yeah, maybe in your life you've missed this and or you haven't had that, or maybe you regret doing this and not this. And that means in the future, when you look at what you do in the future, you'll be able to do those things and not have
Yeah.
any regrets yet again. But you cannot do that if you don't have those regrets. You need those regrets to move on and to move forward and to make better decisions, better suited for yourself. Um, I'll take an example of myself. In the past week, I've been really like struggling with what I think is dissociation, and because uh, I've been suffering from that for like years now. I would say since like 2017, I believe, and I've never had the words to put it in. But now I know it's mostly dissociation. I'm not diagnosed, whatever, right? I don't have I didn't go to a professional or whatever. It's all
Yeah.
just based on
But
talk to
there are
people and whatever.
signs that you are like suffering from that.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, I've been in past week. I've done a lot of retrospection, a lot of it, and I even started a little journal where I write stuff in, uh, and it helps a bit. But
It's still always a good idea to do that.
yeah, and mostly all when I'm doing those sessions of just me thinking about my life, looking back at it, there's a lot of regret, and most of the regret is not based on what I've done. You know, unfortunately, it's all based on circumstance. Most of it. For example, my biggest regret I have is I never had a teenage, like an actual uh, true teenage phase. You know what I mean? My
Yeah,
whole
get it.
the whole time from like 12 to like 24 right now, I've stayed, or at least if we talk teenage year, from like 12, like 13 to 19, I've stayed inside
And
playing video
maybe you're
games.
like, this is why I'm like this. Oh, this is because of that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
obviously that's not what I think, right? Because I'll get to that. But I've never had really friends to go out with. I've had maybe one or two friends, and we would only talk at school, for example, or very rarely. And because of that, and I never went outside. I never had fun. I never did sleepovers ever. I never had anyone come to my house. I never did anything. While my sister would always almost every day be out with friends. And I think most of it because it's based on bullying. When I was like between 13 and 15, I was like bullied quite a bit, all the way until high school. In high school, I was bullied a bit, but like not too much, but still a bit. But like middle school, yeah, that was like my college for us, Frenchies. It was extremely rough, and I think that shaped me to someone who was more closed off, without being too closed off, but still closed off. And so I just took video games as a refuge. And because of that, and because of being bullied, obviously everyone around you thinks, "Oh, that guy's a loser." You know, I don't want to be
Yeah.
friends with him. Everyone is picking on him. You don't want to be friends with the person being picked on. Obviously, I mean, making people makes fun of that person. You don't want to be friends with them, and so I've never really had a lot of friends, or like, even not many friends. And when I did, we would stop talking after like a month or two, you know, because they would move on to having better friends.
Yeah, but like it's
And
not your fault. It's not entirely
yeah,
your fault. Like people are jerks sometimes.
exactly. Kids are jerks. Obviously, I don't hate those people. They were kids. They didn't really know. I'm sure if I talked to them today, they would apologize to me. I'm sure.
Maybe.
Because
But like,
when they are
do you
kids.
envy your sister for being like more opened up?
I don't envy anyone. Envy is not something
All right.
I have. To me, it's what it is. It's what it was at least. That's how it went. I wish it could have went better, but like my sister,
Yes,
I have
that
my
was my question.
own.
Like, not maybe like I wish I was in that situation, but maybe like it could have been better. Maybe if I had that situation, maybe I would feel better because it's something that I don't have that other people have.
Nah, because my sister and me, we have very different characters. We are very different characters. I am more of a very chill person, and she is a whole character. She is very she's a loud mouth. She's a
Yeah,
loud mouth, and
get it.
she's very stubborn, extremely stubborn. Even about like sensitive issues. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but like she has hurt me, even like not too recently, but like in the past couple of years. And even though like we're both adults, because of how she is, and that's the thing.
The thing is, imagine like you can have the opportunity of like being in the shoes of your sister, but knowing that she has some traits that can be, a bit negative or things that you don't like, and
Mm.
you know are like flaws. Maybe like you could like probably figure you'd do better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so because being a person is much more than just what you observe.
Right, I get it.
Thankfully.
But sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's just sorry, it's just me. Maybe sometimes I just fantasize too much, but like maybe I wish I was in other people's shoes, but like just observing their traits, and I would be like, maybe I could, if I had their opportunities, their luck, but my qualities, maybe like I could become totally a different person. But
Yeah, no, definitely.
unfortunately, circumstances act in such a way that, but well, you're just born with your shoes, and you're like you have to go with that and make your
Yes.
choices and go on with your life.
Yes. And that's what retrospection does. Because when you look back to yourself, you're like, oh yeah, I could do a better job if I was myself from back then, but my knowledge of now, you know.
That would be
And
such a burden though, because
yeah,
I mean,
because you would
being
know
too smart.
already everything that you could have
That's
done.
It's something that is a bit personal, but I suspect I don't have yet a diagnosis, but I suspect I have ADHD. And
Yep.
being too aware of your emotions or of other people's, being having a good sense of observation makes you just look like a nerd or a very picky or very boring person, because you're just like over analyzing everything, and people are like, dude, shut up, just enjoy life, just don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Imagine being a kid and being like with the knowledge and the intelligence of a 25-ish year old person, be like too sad because you know too much about everything, but everybody takes you for just annoying chap. It's really
Yeah,
really
yeah,
hard.
yeah. I know what you mean. Definitely.
But yeah.
Okay, so let's switch into the second subject, which is regret, because I started talking about it, so may as well just switch subject now.
Yeah, so
So,
regrets.
regrets.
A very happy subject though.
Yeah. It goes into it because I was talking about regret already,
Yeah.
so I figured I would already switch when I was talking about me not really having it teenage years, and mostly I feel like when it comes to regrets, for example, in the past week I've been reflecting, like I said, and some of the regrets I've had is that like I've never had the words to really describe what I'm going through. And for example, I've failed like uni 3 times, right? I went to uni 3 times and I failed 3 times.
Yeah.
Like after the first month, I stopped going every time. All three attempts. After a month, I stopped going because of my mental health
To be fair,
deteriorating.
uni is not like for everybody. Like if you
Yeah,
have the attention span of a fly, I mean that's you're gonna have a hard time at uni.
yeah. I think I have like ADHD. I think maybe, because I genuinely need to be stimulated most of the time.
Would be a good
Or
idea to get diagnosed though.
yeah, same. And I will, like, I do want to, but I just I just I didn't fail because of any. I think I don't think it's because of ADHD, but mostly because of, I think, it's dissociation. Mostly, I believe it's because of dissociation, and mostly I think the biggest factor back then was social anxiety. And my
So
biggest
maybe
regret,
I'm too ignorant, but I need to stop because I just what do you mean by dissociation?
it's when you feel like you're like a glitch in life. It's like not you don't be like, you're not a human in life. You don't belong in
Right,
life. It's like,
that you're like off.
imagine you're floating. Like, imagine like, you're a glitch, and everyone around you is like real, but like you're just floating around.
Yeah,
Like, you're just floating. When you're walking, you're just floating. You're not really here, right? You feel like this is not real life. Like,
yeah.
you don't belong here. You're a glitch here.
Okay,
That's
I
what
get it now.
dissociation is.
That you're like you just someone and you just wish you didn't exist because like you're who
Not
am
really
I?
that. No, it's not really wishing
Who
didn't
am
exist.
I?
It's
What
feeling
am
like it's
I?
not real.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, good reference.
It's
But
just
yeah, no, it's feeling like, it's not feeling that you don't want to exist. It's feeling like It's like feeling that you don't belong. That you're
yeah,
not
that
real.
you're a bit off of humanity
Yeah, that's
compared
like
to the
you.
rest of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. That you don't really belong here. That it's not real. That your life is not actually a life. That you're not actually living. Maybe you're just existing.
Yeah.
And you're out of sync. That's how I like to think. Like, it's like you're out of sync, with everyone else or the world itself. And to get back to regrets, my biggest regret back then is actually not actually having the luck of having people around me that understand me. And it's a dumb regret because it's not nothing I can do about it. Even if I go back in time, nothing I can do about it. My parents were not understanding, and I didn't have any uh, knowledge of what actually thinking and feeling. And because of my social anxiety, which is the biggest factor back then, of me staying in bed until like 6 p.m. every day and hating myself, crying, depression, everything for like 3 years, and I wasn't gonna be able to go to a therapist, a mental health professional. And so I wish that what I'm gonna have is, I wish I had people around me, family that were more understanding at the time. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately they were not at all. And I just feel every time I look at like people around me that have like a good relationship with their parents, and they tell me like all this stuff about, like, how they help each other and stuff, I get not envious, but I get kind of sad, because I think of me, where I would be in much different spot today. You know,
Yeah.
if I
I
had
get
people
it.
that
Like
actually, if I had parents who supported me during those years, didn't judge me, and even when I said things very crudely, for them to understand, if they would have understood, because even then they didn't understand or didn't care, my life would be way different. Genuinely,
yeah. But as the saying goes, you don't get to like pick your family.
exactly.
So maybe you can imagine how your life would have been. Would it be different? But the thing is, right now, so this is a very bad, this is a very bad timing because I just had an argument with my father.
Hmm.
So it's very bad timing, but yeah, I get what you were saying when you say like I wish I had a different family pattern because
Yeah,
yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that shapes how we are. It's like it's like a family is like a frame. They frame us and they make us like more or less functional in today's society.
yeah,
They teach us things and they teach us how to behave and stuff. And sometimes parents are too neglectful, or maybe they're like also like they can be actively toxic to you or unwillingly toxic.
yeah,
But this is like it's what it is. Today, the choice that you have, like, should I just accept it or should I just, like, nah, fuck it, just fuck it, just don't accept shit. So yeah, it's a thing that I'm struggling with today. So I'm
yeah,
deeply connecting with what you were saying with your family.
yeah. Unfortunately, that's what I'm saying is, there is still help you can have, which I wish I got back then, which was medical help, like a therapist, for example, or anything like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
But I didn't have that back then, and I don't have it right now. But I do when I get a bit of money. I do want to go and have an appointment. I can't right now because like personal reasons, but yeah, I cannot go to get medical help right now. Um, and when I can,
Praise.
I probably will. And yeah, because it's something crazy, Like I think that's my biggest regret, genuinely. My biggest regret is genuinely. I mean, it's not my biggest regret. Because my biggest regret is definitely my teenage years. Like I said before, me not having real teenage years, me staying inside playing video games all day for my whole teenage years, never having any actual, fun or any actual like friends I made. Um, and my second biggest regret is genuinely not having a good relationship or like parents that are understanding. Not having been spawned in a, I didn't get a lucky spawn.
I'm not your
So yeah,
therapist, but from my perspective, you don't need to feel guilty about, not having the
it's not guilt.
communication skills required to, or the regrets, or
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like maybe sometimes it's just your parents can be at fault.
yeah,
From what I've experienced, sometimes parents are too proud of themselves or too overconfident, and really they should know better for their kids. They should take how they feel into account. Unfortunately, all not all parents do that, and sometimes they fail to take accountability for their mistakes. Not only that, they will make sure that the children feel some sort of guilt or feel like they have done something wrong, while in fact they're just feeling bad, and they don't know what they're experiencing. Like the parents just don't know what the kids are experiencing, but the kids are like all shaken, and
yeah.
they just don't know what to say, and they don't know how to feel, and the only landmarks that they have is their parents. So yeah, the parents should definitely know better for their kids, and
Definitely.
yeah, and kids should like go see a therapist if they feel like, if you're like underage, maybe you just see a therapist, or like don't talk to your parents about it. Talk about your teachers. Maybe they will help you.
Yeah, if you have actual like if you're listening to this and you are underage and you're actually struggling with like stuff that is affecting you with like mentally, that is important. Even seeing like your school's therapist if you have one in where you live, or even like go to the school and they could redirect you to like social services. Even
Yeah,
talking to someone like social services is extremely important because obviously you only do that if your parents are actually doing something neglectful and like you're actually having issues, like maybe they're ignoring your mental issues or whatever. Because that can change you. If you have the luck of actually being aware that social services exist as a kid, but not other people do, then use them if you feel the need to. You know, talk to people around you because
it's
it's
not
something
your
very
fault, guys. It's not your fault. Your parents
exactly.
are to blame. Boo.
Yeah, exactly. All the time. No, but obviously,
I'm just kidding.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
just kidding. Sometimes it
Uh,
can be true though.
but yeah, let's not get too deep into that subject. Parents, it will be one of my subject in the next videos I will make.
Maybe
Definitely.
yeah. I just have to, what yeah. There was something that I wanted to talk about, but
Yeah.
regrets could be like communication skills. So I don't know if you have like any experience to share about communication. Communication.
Yeah, yeah, not immediately. I used to have, like I said, one of my regrets for was teenagers, and that's because I had social anxiety, very
Yeah.
severe social anxiety. Nowadays, I don't really have it that much. My social anxiety really kind of like went away as I became more and more extroverted, and communication is very hard when you have when you have social anxiety or just even anxiety
True.
in general. But I want to ask you a question because I want to ask you, what is your biggest regret then? Because I've told you mine. What is yours? If you're okay with sharing
Um.
it.
So we're getting into the deep, intimate stuff, right?
Yeah, obviously it's
Oh God.
only if you are okay with sharing it,
Okay.
or
Okay. So I'm okay
you
with
don't
sharing
have
though.
to. Okay.
So I have started and ended some relationships.
Mm.
Could be friends, could be uh, like love relationships. And there was one time where I was with that girl, and she was really really far away though. It was like
Mm.
in the U.S. And the regret that I have is that I broke up with her because right now, as you know, I'm a relationship with my boyfriend.
Mm.
But so that meant that I had to end that relationship with her because having a disconnected relationship. I'm using inverted commas for disconnected
Yeah.
because like I'm living in France and she's living in the like west coast of the United States. It's
Mm.
really far away. And it was no longer what I was looking for, and remote relationships were like not the thing that I was looking for.
Mm.
So I wanted to do this right. And the only regret that I have is that back then I was a poor, I was very poor at talking things out and making
Mm.
it right. And I said things that today I regret because they were, looking back, they were horrible. Like, and I didn't mean them. The worst thing is that I just didn't mean them. Maybe because it was because English wasn't my native language, or because I didn't know the words, or I didn't know how to communicate properly. But I only regret just saying these atrocious things that I've said to her because it was just all out of clumsiness.
Yeah.
And but you have to live with that because right now we've never been in touch. And well, to me, that's fine. I don't know how she has felt ever since, but I can understand that she felt really bad about this. And but like the past is the past, and now it's done. I can never change what I've did, and that's probably one of the biggest regrets.
All right. I hear
And
you.
also, yeah, same for one of the friends is one of my friends is I've never spoken to. I want to spoke to him, but it's like it's in the past. It's complicated, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to communicate properly. Should I forgive? Should I not forgive? What could be the words? This is all down to communicate.
Exactly. That's what I say to everyone. Genuinely, I've had a friend who will name anonymous, which have been coming. They've been coming to me in the past couple of months for advice about specific things, and every single time the answer has been communicate,
Yeah.
communication, communicate. To me, it's crazy that for a lot of adults, they have regrets about stuff, and then they carry on doing the same things because they don't realize that communication is the answer. You
Yeah,
know?
at least taking accountability for that is like one of the first steps. But
I
then
mean,
sometimes you can be paranoid because what if people hate me? What if I have said something that is wrong to them?
yeah.
And personally, I'm suffering from that. So I am constantly under the impression that people hate me all the
Hmm.
time, that I am unlikable, that I am boring or annoying, and it's how can I do better? I don't know because when you're ignoring someone, you're just not communicating anything. So
Oh yeah.
this is the worst for people like me who have ADHD. This is the worst because we're constantly paranoid and we have to you know interpret signs as intentions. It's weird.
But yeah, I know what you mean. That's the thing.
S-
Obviously, it's something that you learn to get over, or like at least to work with. You know, I've
yeah,
always said to people that when it comes to actually ADHD, right, and when it comes to your mental illnesses, when it comes to things that you live with, for most of it, you don't live against it. You don't live to remove it. You don't live to remove anxiety. You don't need to remove your ADHD. You work with it. You live
yeah.
with it, not against it. Because if you live your whole life against it, you're gonna try to any remedy, cures, whatever, therapy to get rid of it, but it will most likely never get it. Like you won't get rid of it, and you're gonna see regret, and you're gonna see a lot of sadness because you're not accomplishing the goals you want. But if
Yeah.
you work with it, then you can actually get to know it better, know what to do better in those situations when it's affecting you, and deal with them better. And you just accept it. And I think that's mostly the biggest thing. Uh, People have a lot of regrets about things in their life, but all it comes down to at the end of the day, at least for most people, is just they need to do some retrospection, and in order to accept it, you know, because regrets are, I feel like regrets are easily the number one cause of, at least in my head, right, in my opinion, number one cause of people having grudges, or having like second thoughts about people. Uh, what I mean by that is mostly I feel like people hold grudges because they wish things could have went differently. They hold
Yeah, I
grudges
get
against
about.
people because they regret the way that that person has said something. They regret the
Yeah,
way that they've said
sometimes it can be
something.
frustrating because some people, they don't see what they did wrong,
Yeah,
or they're in denial, and so they don't have any regrets at all. And so they don't see the harm. And maybe, you and I don't see the harm that we can cause to others when
yeah,
we do certain things. So yeah, talk this out if you like it's all down to, being less self-centered and more like listening more to others. But it's a difficult thing to do when you are like precisely self-centered.
yeah. Let me cut you off there for a second. Let me switch to the advice segment, which is the very last segment of the topic of the video.
Sure
So
enough.
this is the advice segment. So do you have any advice when it comes to retrospection and regrets? I cut you off because I think you were going into advice here. So do you have any advice when it comes to those things for people listening here?
Yeah. So it's not advice that I got myself, but it's an advice I got from, reading books, watching series, and BoJack Horseman specifically. It's never too late to change, but don't stay in the past, right? The past is the past. You get to, if you want to change and become a better person, just accept the fact that the past is behind you. And what you need to do now is in your hands. And what you need to do, and the best thing to start looking for, if you're looking for answers, is to start asking questions. Maybe so if you have any sort of regrets because you wish things would have been different, maybe talk this out to people who are close to you. You can talk to a therapist. Therapists are not your friends, but they will be gladly listening to what you're saying because either they're paid for it or they like as professionals they're sincerely concerned about you. But like you can talk about this to anyone if you want to get to feel better, and that would be a good start, asking questions.
Yeah.
So maybe ask questions about yourself, but don't get too paranoid.
Okay, sure thing.
So do you
If
have
I have
advice?
if I have any advice, then I definitely do. There's a quote from a game I played recently. I played a couple of years ago, but I replayed it recently, called Hue, where there's a quote that I actually really resonate with, which is you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can choose how you see it. Now you can see the true color. You must decide if it is for better or worse. I hope after all this, it is for the better. And I think that's a very powerful quote from that game because when you do some retrospection, you can really see the true colors of what happened to you.
Yeah, you
A
can
lot
see
of, a
the
lot of
past in a
people,
different angle, maybe.
exactly,
Mm.
like a lot of people, when things are happening to you in a moment, you don't really see it most of the time. It's really hard to see what's happening, like how it affects you and everything. You only understand everything later on in life. And so when you do some retrospection, you look at your regrets and you analyze your regrets. And even just like when you do retrospection on your life, your entire life, not just regrets, you can see the true colors of, the real color, the true colors of what happened back then, or at least with the knowledge you have today, you can actually see better, more clearly, truer colors. and you have to see if it is for the better or for worse. And always, obviously, for the better is the better solution. If you look at things at an angle that's better, that's more understanding, that's more forgiving, that's more into a positive light to maybe help you move on forward. That would be my advice. Look at things in a way that makes you help move on forward, not move back to being stuck in the past, because a lot of people look at regrets and they get stuck in them. You know,
I think that's
uh,
pretty good advice, though.
yeah, like when you look back at regrets, you get stuck on them, or when you do a retrospective, you get lost in your thoughts. And it happened to me in the past week. I definitely did, and I think looking at it in a way that's more positive, it's gonna be hard to find the angle, but once you find it, it can help you a lot. That's the best advice I have. Try to look at things in a different way, not just one. If you're looking at something right now, you're doing some retrospection, and you're looking at things and you're feeling bad about it, try to look at it in a different way, different perspective. You know, that
Well,
would be
I
my
know what I'm
biggest
going to do
advice.
tonight when I'm looking at the ceiling.
Yeah,
Thank you very
definitely.
much for the advice. Yeah, it's definitely better than mine, though.
Oh no,
But yeah,
there's no better or worse advice. I feel like yours was also very very good. It is not a competition.
no, it's not. It's got best advice of the year.
My advice is that this is not an advice. Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, I think we are done for now. It's been 46 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. I think we are done. Do you have anything else to add about the whole subject?
I was a bit scared of doing that, but that was definitely a good moment because get to talk things out and put things on the table.
Mm,
I get to learn
definitely.
you better.
Hell yeah.
Hell
That's
yeah!
always good.
Thanks
But
for
yeah,
having me.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming and for agreeing to come here and talk about all this with me. It's always very very fun to have guests on.
A pleasure.
All right. Well, I hope you would enjoy the one. I hope that made you think a bit. I hope you will have some thoughts after listening to this. And as always, I hope you take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Later.
Riding, cause we rolling. I've been playing my cards, I'm never folding. Fuck yeah, we young and we owing. We'll take a rest when our days are olden. The birds chirping, the sun shines out of breath, but we never take a time out. We never coasting, we throwing toast, but we never slowing down, living on a roller coaster. Like a miner, but I'm not a Chilean.